Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. Now later tonight I'm going to watch Doctor Who, The Day of the Doctor, with my nephew. He's actually a very big Doctor Who fan, and that means I'm going to have an evening of television. It's not something that I do very often, but yeah, for some Doctor Who with my nephew, I'm definitely willing to do that. So I bought some chips and stuff like that, and I think it will be a lot of fun. I also saw that I just reached 2,000 subscribers. Thank you very much everyone for your support. That's pretty damn awesome. But we are here for the market, and it's the first EVE Talk since Rubicon, but I will start with the regular stuff. I'll just try and do it decently quickly, because it's actually take 3. I made some mistakes previously, but let's see what we can do for this EVE Talk. So first of all, the minerals. Titanium, still a bad chart, but 480 to 482. That's pretty much a sideways movement, maybe up 1 or 2 cents since last week. But yeah, pretty much moving around that 4.8 band and consistently sideways for a few weeks now. Pyrite, we're looking at 1152, 1155. That's the same as last week as well. So here we can clearly see that this is moving sideways. Mexalon next up, it's not that visible on the chart, but Mexalon moved to 45.15, so above 45 ISK for Mexalon in Jita Station for sellers, 44.39 for buyers. So Mexalon has definitely been moving up in the last few weeks. A few months ago I invested 200 million Mexalon at 40.5, so that does mean already a 10% increase in price. Is this the right time to sell? I am not sure. It might just be a little bit early, because Mexalon is finally moving up. Next up we'll have Isogen. It's trying to move up. I think you can see at the end here that even the 20-day moving average is trying to depart from that 120 price band, and it's now looking at 129, 97, 98, 99, so it's really close to the 130 band. If it can break that, it might just start getting higher as well. And next up was a pretty interesting one on the chart, was Zydrine, which is clearly going up. It was below 600 million for quite a bit. If you look at the 1-year chart, going down since Odyssey significantly, but now going back up, and it is at 780, 790 ISK for sellers. So that is definitely up a decent amount, close to 800 ISK, and it's really the first mineral to show a clear break with the downward to sideways trend that we've seen in the last few weeks and months. Let's have a look at what Noxium is doing then. It's hardly visible. This is pretty much a sideways movement. Current prices 679, 682. That's pretty much the same as last week. Next up, Megasite 1618, so close to 1620. On the charts, maybe up a little bit, because Megasite had also broken 1600. It's been below that for a few weeks to a few months now, and now it's finally back above 1600. So this is decently interesting in the mineral markets. A lot of them are moving sideways, but some of them are clearly moving up. And so this might finally mean an end to the downward spiral which we've known since EVE Online Odyssey. And that would actually be very good news for miners, I think, so that they could once again get like 5 million on a full machina or something like that. Because at the moment it's very low what you're getting for mining, but it looks like some good news in my opinion. Especially the Zydrine chart is a clear break with what's been going on for months now, and Mexalon as well has been going up, although much more slowly. And in the meantime, Titanium and Pyrite, they're holding on, you know, they're really trying. So if those start to go up, I think we could finally see a general upwards movement in minerals. Let's have a quick look at the effect on the Tech 1 ships. The Drake is back a little bit. We're looking at 44 million, yeah, 43.4 million ISK, whereas it was below 42 million for quite a bit. So the Drake has recovered just a little bit. The more interesting ones are stuff like the Maelstrom. That one has clearly gone up in the last few weeks. going for 183 million for a Maelstrom at the moment. Same with the Rock, that one is also going up quite significantly, although it does look like they've both found their new price point. Rock's at around 185, yeah, pretty much 185 for a Rock. The Omen, it's just a cruiser, so that's not as good an indication, I think, because you need a lot less minerals to produce Omens, and I don't think they're such popular ships. So that one is a little bit down actually from last week, but still holding at around 9.5 million. Yeah, actually no, 9.2 million. So Omen definitely going down a little bit, but I don't think this is an indication that the trend of an upwards movement in Tech 1 ship is around either. And we can see in the Talos as well, where it's been below 66 million for quite a bit. It's now at 67 million, so up a little bit as well. If we see the minerals go up, we might just see a general trend in Tech 1 ship start as well. I think that would be very good news for miners and industrialists, so that their time could actually be worth a little bit more ISK. And I think we could see that, you know, if Rubicon can cause a lot of war with the new Poco changes, a lot of losses as well. We've seen a lot of interceptors be very successful in what they do now. Yeah, this could just mean more activity and thus more opportunity for miners and industrialists to bring their goods to the market for a higher price than what we're seeing now. Because honestly, let's have a look at that 1 year chart. Since Odyssey and even since before Odyssey, it's been going down quite a little bit, and so it's very good to see that at least on the bigger battleships and on some of the minerals we're seeing a break in this trend. I'm not sure if it's going to continue. I think that's going to depend on the success of EVE Online, how much it can retain activity over the winter, but I think it's off to a good start at least. Next up, Tech 2 stuff. I will only quickly touch on this, but the Absolution comes off of a very high of around 240, current price is 218. So yeah, there was definitely a trade opportunity in this just a few weeks ago. The Astarte is a lovely chart right here. In the last 2-3 months, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes of almost 40 million ISK. Current price for an Astarte 276, which is very, very high, but this is perfect for selling opportunities. And this is what I really like about Tech 2 stuff for trading. Look at these beautiful spikes. That's a lot of money that you can potentially have made if you had the balls to buy them on their lows. So yeah, this is really why I keep one eye on the Tech 2 market for trade stuff. Look at this final part here in the last 3-4 months. That looks really awesome to make some money. Claymore, well, it's just known a little spike, although in general it's a little bit flat, and we've seen it go towards 260, then back down to 220, and it's currently back to 250 and then 267, 268. So yeah, some nice trading activity in the Claymore, despite the fact that in general it's been decently flat. The Damnation, nope, that's just a little bit too flat. The EOS one is also pretty interesting, because that one is finally going down. We can clearly see that it's been well above 300 million for the last 2 months or something like that, and current sell price is 311, but current buy price is 281, 282. So yeah, if you can pick up a few EOSs at that price, I think that's a very good opportunity. If there's some more trade activity coming to the EOS market, you might just see another nice spike, because I can see right here from 220 to 300 million. That's of course the announcement that it could use 5 heavy drones with Rubicon, but after that, here again a decent movement of 40 million, a decent movement of 40, and here again of 20, and now a decent correction. If you can pick them up on buy orders, I think you're doing a pretty good deal, because you're buying them right here at around the 280 mark. So very interesting one as well. The Guardian just new 3 decent spikes here as well. Keep in mind this is a logistics cruiser, so it's not the same price category as a command ship, but still here 20 million up, 10 million up, 20 million up, and current prices are very high, but this is once again a lot of opportunities that have showed themselves since the summer, so pretty good. Nighthawk is a little flat, Sleipnir, I just knew a decent spike, 30-40 million here maybe, but it's corrected, and in general a pretty slow burner here, the Sleipnir, so I'm not sure how much I would invest in that. And then the Vulture also, just the announcement spike here, but then a correction and decently flat for the rest, so maybe not the best. Next up, Tech 3 stuff. Unfortunately, they've not been able to hold on to their gains. We are seeing a quick spike here, which we see actually on all of them, especially here on the Loki. This was because they would be able to switch subsystems in space with EVE Online Rubicon. Unfortunately, that doesn't exactly change all that much for the Tech 3 ships, it seems, and most of them are going back towards their price levels before the changes as well. Look at this, the Legion for 155, a Loki for 159, Proteus for 158, pretty damn low here, and then a Tengu for 164. That one came back a little bit because they touched on 160 for a bit, so it's 4-5 million more, but keep in mind though, they're coming from all-time low prices. So yeah, Tech 3 ships still extremely cheap. They knew a bit of a spike with the Rubicon announcements, but all of them have corrected back already. Melted nano ribbons next to Mexalon, another one of my investment. This one is going up nicely. You can even see the 20-day moving average that is clearly moving up above the 4.8. Current price is 4.9 million. So I'm going to keep an eye out if it can reach 5 million. I bought mine for 4.5. So if it can reach 5 million, I think there's a sell opportunity for me there. Which I think is definitely in the cards, because if you look at the entire chart, the average probably been around 5 million for the entire year. So I do think it can reach that if it can maintain a little bit of momentum, just a good million more, and then I'll be happy to sell my melted nano ribbons. But yeah, slowly moving up, coming from very low prices. Definitely, in my opinion, a buying opportunity right here after the summer. That's it for Tech 3. Next up, we'll have a look at the Marauders, and I've seen it before already, so I'm going to have a quick look just here at the Varger, moving from a general price of 0.95 to 1 billion, so it's up a little bit for the Varger. Next up, the Paladin, that's a more decent movement here, from 0.95 to 1.1 billion, so that's a decent movement here for the Paladin. The Chronos, look at that, a little bit disappointed, still at around 1.1 billion ISK, but it's been there since the announcement, so that one is actually moving sideways a bit more, and both of these spikes are the Rubicon deployment. The more interesting one is right here, the Golem, which actually is also pulling up the 20-day moving average, coming from 0.9 billion to 1.25 billion ISK for a Golem, so that's really a pretty good increase in price, something like 300 million on a 1.2 billion. You know, the Golem is I think the winner of the Rubicon Marauder changes, because this is the biggest movement, and it looks like it's much more of a sustained uptrend in the Golem here, because as you can see, even the 20-day moving average is moving up nicely together with the 5-day moving average. So I think the Golem is being the most successful Marauder at the moment. Let's touch on the fuels, but Amar pretty flat around 14, Caldari at around 17, Galente fuel blocks pretty much 14k, and Minmatar pretty much 14k, so not a lot of movement here. R64, this might be due to the new Siphon unit, but definitely up. Dysprosium 50k. Current prices are actually 54k, so that's pretty damn high for Dysprosium, especially if you see before Odyssey at 10,000 ISK. The price is now 5-fold what it was before Odyssey, and it's still going up quite significantly. Neodymium, that one got back to its pre-Odyssey levels, but now it's definitely going up as well, heading towards 50,000 ISK for Neodymium. Which is pretty damn high. Promethium heading up as well towards 40k, is that correct? Yeah, 44k, 43, 41, yeah, something like that. So that's definitely up as well. And Thulium too. So all are 64 products are definitely going up significantly with EVE Online Rubicon. Is this already the impact of Siphon units causing disruptions? I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit too early for that, and that this just might be anticipation of future problems in the R64 supply chains because of the Siphon unit. But I think it's interesting because these are significant movements in this, and all of them are going up quite a bit. So that's it, what we normally check. Let me quickly grab my cheat sheet here, and we'll check some Rubicon specific items, and we will start with the new Sisters of Eve cruiser, so Pirate Faction Stratios. Look at that, 496 million on sell orders, 466 million on buy orders. That's more than twice what I was willing to pay, more than twice what I expected as well. This is extremely high, in my opinion. 500 million for a cruiser. I mean, I know it can do a lot, but that's just too much for me at the moment. I'm not willing to spend that kind of money on a Stratios. And then if you look at the price history, this is something I have never seen for a new ship or a new good that is just launched, where you actually see an upward movement, where the first introductions and buyers were at around 400 million, and then it actually is moving up towards 500 million. That's something I've never seen before. Usually the very first few ships are bought at a much higher price, and after that more supply comes to the market and then prices go down. So this is definitely very unique, and I think it shows how extremely popular this Stratios is. I mean, I understand it looks pretty damn awesome, but does it look 500 million awesome? In my opinion, no. There's better ships to spend that kind of money on, I think. This is virtually, I think, a Tech 3 fully fitted ship with all the necessary modules to do whatever else you want to do, whether it's cloaky, interdictor, or a good PvE feed. I think for the price of just one Stratios, you could get a Tech 3 ships with everything else you need to be able to have it in whatever fashion you want. Add to that a depot, and then you're good to go. So I think it's just because it's the flavor of the moment, and it's of course a very good looking ship, and a lot of people want their Stratios right now. And that is why they're willing to pay 460 to 500 million ISK for a Stratios. Personally, I don't understand it. I'm going to wait a few weeks or even months until this price goes down, which I expect it does. It will, because it doesn't cost 500 million ISK to produce a Stratios. So yeah, pretty interesting. Definitely a unique launch of a new product. Then let's have a quick look at the frigate as well, the Astero. That one is sticking around its introduction price a little bit more, so at least this is not going up another 100 million. Current price for the Astero, 128 million, for sellers 116 million for the buyers. It's still probably twice what I had expected it would cost, once again, so very, very high price. I mean, it looks good, but it's a lot, I think, and it's just too much in my opinion. I'm not willing to spend that kind of money on these new ships just yet. I'll wait it out. Next up, let's have a look at the deployable items which are in ship equipment. Mobile Sino Inhibitor, 132 million ISK, buyers at 56 million, so that's actually quite expensive for something that I think you have to deploy and then forget. It gets used up. So this market might just need to stabilize a little bit, because that's still a very high price, and as you can see, pretty low supply. Then the mobile depots, 1 million. That's pretty interesting. I bought mine for around 4 million ISK, but yeah, you can pick one up for 1 million, no problem, on the buy order, I'm pretty sure. And this is a more normal chart for a newly deployed item. In this case, the mobile depot, starting off with like data points at 8 million, but then at least it's trending down towards 1 million as more supply comes to the market. And that's a little bit more normal and what I would have expected for the stratios as well. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Next up, the Wetu Mobile Depot, 145 million. That's still quite a lot, but this and the yurts for 1 billion or 600 million. These come from the ghost sites, so it's normal that these are still decently rare. Mobile siphon unit, what does that cost? 16 million for buyers, 19 million for sell orders. Again, a more normal chart for a newly deployed item. And so yeah, the siphon unit, I think this is a normal price. I'm not sure what it costs exactly to produce, but this feels okay. I think that this can actually earn itself back in a decent amount of time as well if you put it on the right moon. But less than 20 million for a mobile siphon unit. And then a mobile tractor unit, 23.5, 18 million for buy orders. Again, this normal chart for newly deployed item. Actually bought mine for 40 million ISK. I'd done a rough calculation and said like 30 million in products, maybe something like that, but it's even less than that. For 20 million ISK you can definitely buy yourself a mobile tractor unit, and at least I think that the deployable items are in a more normal range, except maybe for the mobile cyno inhibitor. That one might just need a little bit more time before more of them come to the market. But that's it for the deployable items. And then a final item Rubicon related that I wanted to check is the let's see, because I don't know where it is exactly, but the customs office gantry with high-sec pocos that can now be destroyed and replaced. Actually, we are in Iona, which is very central in high-sec. Pretty much all of the customs offices have already been replaced by those from other corporations, and I've actually already seen one in reinforced, so wars are starting over them. I think this is pretty interesting, that it's actually moving pretty quickly, but price-wise, let's have a look here. 74-75 million on sell orders. I mean, it's up a little bit, 10 million, 15 million maybe, something like that, but it's less than what I had expected. I would have thought that maybe demand would outstrip supply by quite a bit more, but I think people were already ready for this change. They've been making customs office gantries in preparation for this, and that's why it's actually not gone as high as I would have thought it might, because we did buy one or two of them in Jita as well, so we might have to sell those with just a little bit of profit and not as much as we had expected. But this is pretty interesting. I think here we can see 22nd of September, it says here, there's a pretty big spike also to 75. This was probably the announcement spike, and after that it corrected, and now it's back towards that point, but it did not break that. So I would have expected this to actually go higher, maybe 80-85 million, something like that, once people really got going. But I've already seen that they are replacing Pocos at a decent rate, and yet the price is staying decently stable in my opinion. So not what I had expected at all. And yep, that's it, I think, what I need to cover, except of course the Plex. Let's end with that. 20-day moving average price, I think, is doing what I had expected it to do. It's moving pretty much sideways in the 600 to 610 price band. You can see one spike here to 600 million, then another one to 620, dragging the 20-day moving average up. But now with the launch of Rubicon, it's actually stabilizing quite a bit. In fact, current prices in station are at 601 to 602 million ISK, so that's actually going lower already. And overall, yeah, this is pretty much in sync with what happened last year. We'll probably see a period of stability in the next few weeks, maybe even up to a month. And after that, we should see price of Plex slowly start to decline, and hopefully again a buy order or buy opportunity around April. That would be very good, of course. But yeah, it is moving in sync with what happened last year and with what I was expecting. And overall, I think if you look at the beginning of the chart, we're looking at pretty much 590 million, and right now 605, 610, something like that. So it is a little bit higher than what it was last year. There are two ways to interpret this. Number one is general inflation. Is there just more ISK in the game in general, so that a Plex costs 600 million instead of 590 from last year. That's one possibility. But the other possibility is, of course, there is just more activity in EVE Online in general, so more demand for Plexes. I think this is actually a good possibility, because if we look at what the minerals have been doing, at what the Tech 1 ships do, the Tech 3 ships do, these are actually all at very low prices at the moment, especially compared to what it was a year ago. Whereas the Plexes are counter to most of what's being used in the game, I think. So I do think that that could be an indication that this is a sign that there's actually a lot of activity in EVE Online at the moment, and maybe even a little bit more than what we had last year with the winter expansion. And so now we'll have to wait and see how much attention it can keep, how successful EVE Online Rubicon is, and I think that if prices stay above 600 million, that's a good indication that we have a lot of activity still in EVE Online, and once it goes down, that means that people have digested all the new changes, and yeah, that interest is slowly starting to lower, which it does every year. You know, winter expansion is always a peak of activity, but this might just mean that the peak once again is higher than what it was last year, which I think would be very good news for EVE Online in general. But yeah, anyways, that's it guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.